Hello, everybody, and welcome to Real Talk episode 65. I'm sat here beside Cam and Seth. We do not have George this week, but he should be back next week, so we'll be looking forward to that as well. Boys, we got a solid episode this week. We got some varying styles of releases this week. We had The Boy and the Heron, which a lot of people were looking forward to, finally getting its release worldwide. Eileen came out, I think mostly in limited theaters, but that was a Sundance release with Thomas and McKenzie, Anne Hathaway, a thriller that was definitely generating some interest. And then we have Leave the World Behind, which definitely was a movie that probably was not on a lot of people's radar, but is generating a lot of discussion and buzz throughout social media. So Cam and I watched that one. We'll be reviewing and talking about that one, as well as some other movie news, some new trailers, some nerd news, all kinds of flavors of stuff in this episode of Real Talk. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. How have you been doing this week? Seth, it's been a couple weeks. How have you been?
Good. Drained, stressed, busy. Any more? I don't know. Tired. I don't know. Yeah, pretty good. Like, I've done obviously a lot of work. I was in London all last week. Went to a few events. Went to Next Goal Wins early screening, which was whatever. You know, I'll speak all that on my.
Is that out here, Tyler? People have seen it.
I think
right?
it's out in the US.
Yeah, it came out Thanksgiving week.
I think it comes out like a week or
that
two.
That movie drew no buzz.
No. Obviously met Zack Snyder. Filmed a TikTok with him. That was good. I was disgusted.
Casually. Yeah,
I
you
was
were disgusted.
You were.
Now your next goal in life has to be disbust.
Yeah, that's what I said about disgust. Zach was really strange individual, man. Like, it's hard to explain it. He didn't
nice guy.
Really nice guy. Yeah, like we like had to. It was at this like event, really small event thing. Which was like kind of like a drinks. It was the day before the premiere for Rebel Moon, and usually when you go to these events, you see like faces, like all the creators and stuff. I knew like no one, which was really weird. Like, this guy came up to me, and he was like, he knew me and George. I was like, oh, thanks, man. You knew ReelTok as well. I was like, oh, thanks, man, whatever. And then I was like, oh, what's your username? I'll follow you back. And he had like 5.5 million. I was like, oh, and it turns out
I needed to brush up my Spanish.
It turns out they basically the whole event was catered to the invited. Like, they flew like people over, like the European, a lot of the European TikTokers and stuff. Other people like from Turkey and stuff like that. I had no idea, but we each got like a picture and a chat with Zach and Deborah, obviously his wife, who produces all his films.
Doesn't she write them too, or just produce them?
She might co-write them as well. Actually, I think some of them. Yeah, I think she does.
Or maybe I'm thinking of like
no.
Nolan's wife writes everything, right? Or
no. I'm
like
pretty
that.
sure. I'm pretty sure she writes them as well. I'm pretty sure she was part writer on this actually.
Look at me throwing out fun facts.
Yeah, but they were really, really, really nice. Like, I was just like, oh, do you want to do like a fucking TikTok filter? And he had no idea what that was. But he was really nice about it, and that was quite fun.
You should have asked him about Fortnite. Apparently, he plays.
Joe. So Joe did an interview with him, and he asked. The first thing he said was, "What's your favorite Fortnite skin?"
Yeah,
so he asked him about the new season. He plays. No. So Joe asked him on that night as well, and apparently he actually plays a lot because he said it.
Yeah,
and then Deborah, his wife,
Smiley or something.
And his wife was like, just made like a like an annoyed gesture just to say that he plays like all the time, apparently, which is quite fun.
Was there a Fortnite event like the next day or something? What was that? I saw a lot of pictures of like Fortnite stuff.
No. So it was like, I don't know. Yeah, it was like it wasn't an event. It was like a stand, for the new like Lego stuff. I don't. Cam, have you played that yet? I need to play that. I
haven't played it yet.
Apparently, it's really good, which is interesting. It's like Minecraft.
Yeah, I have not. I've not played it yet.
So it's like they had like a stand in London. I don't really know what it was. We saw it, but then I went home the next day. And then also went to the premiere, which was good. Well, the premiere was good.
The film.
Not so much. It's weird because like Zack Snyder's like like my friend now, so I feel weird, about like, dissing him. Now I know that he's so nice, but yeah, crazy.
I've never met Zack Snyder. This is my Super Bowl. As a non-Snyderverse guy, this is my Super Bowl. I couldn't lose with this movie being bad.
It is definitely a tough look that like it sounds like a lot of people are not liking it after like the year that it's been of like James Gunn taking over and like Snyder heads being so like Gunn makes terrible movies and Snyder's the king.
Yeah.
Definitely a tough look to not have a great movie.
Like I'll go into my thoughts when we go into what we've been watching.
Right.
I'll give some people, but a lot of people who I went with and who were creators there, you know, if I'd have asked 10 of them, like one of them liked it. It was very much an overwhelming, pretty negative response, which is quite disappointing.
I do think Zack Snyder, from what I've seen, like is a fairly good guy and a nice person. So I feel bad. Like I like him as a person. I just don't care for most of his movies, and I'm pro Star Wars. And everyone was like, should have just given him Star Wars, but apparently it sucks. So maybe Star Wars.
I'll explain, Cam.
I'm excited to hear. I'm excited to watch it still. Like I'm gonna.
There's stuff for some people. And that was kind of it. Like just really, really busy. Been really just stressed and overburdened at the minute, but had a good week. But yeah, pretty much it.
Cam, how about you? How's your week been?
Week's been fairly easy. Nothing like crazy going on here. I think my kids still sleep, wife's still asleep, so sleeping in today apparently. I woke up this morning thinking, I don't know, I thought like the sun would be out. I woke up a little bit early, like 7 a.m. It's not super early. I thought like sun would be out and stuff already, but it was just dark still, and didn't really want to get out of bed, you know, because I had to finish Leave the World Behind, which we'll talk about later. But overall, the week's been really easy. Preparing, flying to Texas tomorrow. Preparing for that, kind of like doing laundry and stuff yesterday. Got to pack today, that sort of thing. But other than that, nothing crazy happened this week. I'm trying to like puzzle through my mind. I got nothing. So it seems like,
not trying to dox you, but is it Dallas area you're going? I forgot.
Yeah. So I'm flying into Dallas. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to say exactly where I'm going. I guess.
Right. I think Dallas narrows it down. Not at all. Like that's a big city.
I think I probably already have, honestly, but yes, flying into Dallas. So if there are any Dallas residents listening to this, I'm most likely in your domain right now. I think next week will probably be like the week I watch the movies the most, just because I'll be on my own, not doing anything every night. I'll have nothing going on. I'll just watch some movies, I guess.
Poor Things got an incredibly limited release, but Austin, Texas is like one of like the 4 cities in America it's in right now. So drive 3 hours down and go to see Poor Things.
I don't know if I can do that on the rental car, but maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give it a try.
When you submit your gas for reimbursement to the company, like, where the hell did you go?
Yeah, I'll tell them I was just vibing.
Yeah,
it's just hanging out. But yeah, I'm excited to travel. Traveling's always fun, especially when it's like in a limited. I don't know. I don't travel a lot. It's always a good fun thing. And the Indianapolis airport, Tyler, I think you said you've never been there. Been to a lot. Indianapolis airport, without a doubt, one of the best airports. Anyone who's been there knows it. Laid out,
quick
perfectly.
in and out,
hang out in there. I like that airport. So I'm gonna go get my Chick-fil-A that I always do when I'm there. It's gonna be a good time, I'm sure. But yeah, it should be an interesting week upcoming.
Are you flying out tonight or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
So it's like
tonight would have impacted the Chick-fil-A plan.
Yeah, it's like a Tuesday through Thursday training. So fly out Monday, fly back Friday.
Nice.
So whatever the review next week is, I'll be able to watch on Thursday night, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, nice.
I don't know what it is.
Probably Poor Things, because I think it gets a wider release next weekend.
Perfect.
And some other stuff. I know there's a ton. But yeah, awesome. Yeah, my week. I don't know. I feel like every time we log on to do this podcast to talk about our week, like just everything leaves my brain. I'm like, I don't know anything I did this week. It was nothing bad happened this week. It was I did a lot of like deep cleaning this week, and I'm the type of person that like I completely cleaned out my garage. And I'm the type of person that in like an annoying way, like when I clean something, like I take everything apart and then just like have a massive pile of mess in the middle and then put everything back together. Mm-hmm. So take everything out the shelves, just move everything, and it just makes for a much longer duration of cleaning, but I just enjoy it. I don't know, just take everything apart, and then it kind of like forces you, like you don't have a choice to quit until you get everything back. But my garage was like a shit show, so I'm glad.
Weirdly enough, I did that as well this week, so there's something that just left my mind. But yeah, we've never been able to get a car in our garage, just because all the shit that's in there, and now we can. So,
I'm still not at that point. Well, I mean, like we could fit one if we wanted to, but we just keep them both in the driveway.
You don't have to like battle the weather, do you? Like it's getting cold here, so I like wanted Emma's car in the garage just to be nice, and like get that figured out. You don't have to battle. Like it doesn't even rain there, does it?
Not really at all. So yeah, that's a pro for sure. The only thing is like your car kind of roasts at like 120-degree weather for most of the year,
Yeah.
which like
getting
can
in
like mess up your tires and make them pop a little easier when it's just like roasting all day. But yeah, we don't have to battle the elements, which is definitely nice. But yeah, it's been a pretty standard week, so nothing too crazy. But we'll jump into what have we been watching overall. So I'll kick it back to Seth once again, and this is kind of when you can maybe talk a little more about your spoiler-free thoughts on Rebel Moon.
Yeah, so haven't watched like as much recently. Obviously, I've not been on for a couple of weeks, so I'll mention like the main ones. I watched Lost Highway twice in like the past 2 weeks, which is kind of crazy. I watched it with Anna; she hated it, which is no surprise. I watched Suzume as well, like a week and a half ago. I liked it. I didn't love it, to be honest. Like I just obviously it's not comparable, but just compared to like Your Name, for example, I think Your Name is far better for me. I watched Bottoms. I gave it like a 2.5. Didn't really like it. I thought it was fine, but it kind of came across a bit amateurish. I don't think it's that funny. I actually don't like Rachel Sennett. I don't think she's very good in it, to be honest. I know. The saving grace for me was what's her name?
Ayo
Edebiri, yeah, who's like done like 10 films this year, I swear.
Cam, what did you give Bottoms? I think our review of Bottoms, like we both gave like a 2.5 or a 3, but like it could have easily been a 0.5 if we were in a bad mood.
Yeah, I didn't love it as much. I think I was a little higher on it.
I think I gave it a 2.5, but I could see giving it if I didn't want that style of humor.
It was one of those
awful.
It was one of those that like if it didn't hit for me, so I gave it a 3.5. I didn't love it, but I did like a lot of the jokes. But if I didn't like any of the jokes, yeah, I remember saying it could have been like a half point out of 100. Like it could have been that bad, which we got a couple comments that were like, that's any movie, which I agree. But this one specifically, I noticed that I'm like, that's a bad joke, but I found it funny,
Yeah. I watched Haunted Mansion, which was terrible.
Yeah.
Not sure why I watched that, to be honest.
That's a contender for most boring movie of the year for sure.
Yeah.
Took forever to get through.
So bad. Next Goal Wins. I didn't hate it as much as you, Tyler, but I didn't. Man, that joke. It's weird. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's such a weird portrayal of a real story, putting that joke in there. It's so odd.
Yeah, that's the weird thing that I just had. Like, it's a real guy. Like, it's really, just kind of weird to just, like, make up stuff about his character. And, like, I don't know. It's just for me, Taika Waititi, like, the way that the movie starts with him, like, let me tell you a little story. I'm like, oh, it's this again.
I hated the first half an hour.
It's like, why do you have to do that?
Hated. But there's some moments where I did laugh at, and I am kind of a sucker for the like comeback story, so I did quite like the ending just purely for that reason.
And it is an unbelievable true story. Like the fact that
yeah, absolutely. So like there were parts I liked, and I did end up like liking it more than I thought I would. But it was still a 2.5. Like I hated the first half pretty much. Just like I like the generic endings of sports movies. They kind of make me feel good.
It's funny that you tweeted that you're like now watching or like at like the premiere of like the documentary. I'm like, that came out like 2014. Are they like? Are they watching the documentary first and then the movie? I was like,
I saved it and I was like, shit, I didn't even know there was a documentary. I completely forgot about that. I should watch that though. I bet that's more interesting. I rewatched Oppenheimer for the first time. It is like Nolan's number one now for me. I think it's great. Still remains my number 2 of the year. And then Rebel Moon. So man, it's just kind of shit, honestly. Like that's the best way to describe it. It's like a Star Wars film. The first half an hour is like incredibly
not as good.
Well, no, you're right. The first half an hour is like so reminiscent of A New Hope to the point where it's like derivative, like really reminiscent of A New Hope. And it just feels like a film that just can't like stand up to its own film. It's like they introduced this team, the rebels, the characters. I don't remember any of the characters' names. It's so excruciatingly rushed. It's like narrative point. Throw something in there. Oh, okay, cool fight scene. Let's add 5 million fucking slow-mos in. Oh my god, the amount of slow-mo in this film. I know Zack Snyder uses a lot normally. This was worse. So just be anticipated for that. It's like every fight scene, and it's shot. Like the fight scenes would have been really cool, to be honest. I do actually quite like Zack Snyder's action, the way he kind of shoots action, because I think he was the cinematographer on this as well. But I just don't like the slow-mo over and over and over again. It just gets to the point where it's so annoying. Characters I didn't care about, like Jimon, what's his name? Jimon Hunsu? I think that's how you say it. The one who's doing everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a spoiler. I don't know if he says a word. He says like 2 words in the whole fucking film, which is like just crazy. don't remember him. They gave Charlie Hunnam like a really weird Irish accent for no reason, which is just so bizarre. She was pretty good. Sophia Boutella, who was obviously in Climax, and she was in Kingsman. I actually really liked her, the main character. But it just kind of feels derivative of other films, boring, long, unoriginal, uninspired, and I don't really remember anything. It's just so generic, and it just seemed like there was like no risks taken. And the actual world building into the new universe, obviously, it was pitched as originally a Star Wars film. So it's very reminiscent of that. It is like weird and wacky. Like there's a scene where they go to like a bar. Is it in Return of the Jedi when they go to that bar and it's all the weird like freaks and like whatever? They meet all the weird people. Is that what it is?
It's a Cam question. I don't know my bags.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I was typing up my review for Leave the World Behind because honestly, I kind of wanted to blank you out, so I went into it blind. But what was the question?
Is it Return of the Jedi? Is that the
Yeah.
Star Wars film where they go into like the bar and it's full of like weird creatures and shit?
That's a New Hope, most
that,
like
oh yeah,
New
yeah,
Hope is where they start
because when they meet
at Mos Eisley.
So there's a scene which is like unbelievably similar to that. They go to this bar, they meet people, and then they meet like I won't tell the characters whatever. They meet a character who's like so important to the story, and they see this weird guy who's like starts on them whatever, and it's just like it felt so unimaginative. And I was quite excited for it, to be honest. Like I thought the trailer looked pretty good when I first saw it.
It did.
I'm gonna send you guys actually
How much slow-mo? How much slow-mo?
Did you not hear what I just said? You blocked me out completely.
Again, I was trying to block you out.
Oh,
I didn't really want to hear anything,
Cam, it's like it's the most I've seen from one of his films.
Man.
No.
Why does he like it so much?
It's the most I've seen from one of his films. It's to the point where it's aggravating. Like it's really aggravating.
Lose it. Have you watched Zack Snyder's Justice League yet?
No, I've only seen.
That one's
that's like 4 hours, isn't it? So it's like at least maybe.
It would have been 2.5 without.
I'm sure someone has, but I want to see the screen, like the data for like how long each movie of his would be if they didn't have if, like all the slow mo was normal speed.
Yeah.
I know.
So, question, Seth, did you watch was your version the 3 hour version or was it like the 2 hour 13?
No,
version?
So it was the rated cut. So apparently, like Josiah Coops, who I was with, he said that when they went to the breakfast thing. A couple months ago, Zach basically showed him some like shots of it, and it is a lot more like brutal. We saw like the more tame rated cut that's going to be obviously getting the theatrical release. Also, if you guys just watch what I sent in the chat, I'm in the trailer for Rebel Moon. Did you see that? That's kind of cool. Right?
I did see that. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was quite fun actually. But yeah, so I give it a 2. A lot lower than I was expecting to give it. To be honest, I was quite looking forward to it in a way. I remember I spoke to Sophie after the film, and she was pretty much on the same wavelength. And yeah, just not great. Just a massive disappointment. It's like The Creator, but worse. You know what I mean? In terms of the way I feel about it, it's like The Creator, but worse. Just another shit sci-fi. Well, The Creator was a shit. I actually didn't mind The Creator, but another unoriginal sci-fi that just went on and on and on. So yeah, 2 out of 5 for me. Not great. Really not great at all.
Disappointing. So that comes out on Christmas Day, I think worldwide. I know at least in America, but I imagine it's probably when Netflix.
America, I think there's a theatrical release in the US on like the 19th, I want to say. But yeah, I think it's Netflix on the 24th, 25th, whatever it is. So it'll be interesting to
say they're releasing 2 versions. There'll be like a 2 hour 13-minute version, which is the normal version, and then a like 3 hour 13-minute version, I think for the unrated. Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting to see the reactions though, because with it being a premiere, in America, it's still embargoed. Like you still can't put reviews up. But in the UK, I don't really know why. It's a bit weird. So it's going to be interesting to see the reactions because when you watch a film and you can't see anyone else's reactions or you don't, and you can't just go off your own without having because everyone looks at other people's whatever. It's going to be interesting to see where people land with this. But I imagine this will get the same reception as like what's this called? Army of the Dead, his last one, like Netflix one. I think it's going to be like the same sort of thing as that.
That movie stinks too, man.
One of his lower down ones, anyway. Yeah. I actually liked it less, Cam. I liked it less than that.
Oh, really? Which movie did you like of his? Like Dawn of the Dead, is it?
I liked Dawn of the Dead. I actually told him that was his best film. I like Man of Steel as a 3.5, and I like
Man of Steel a lot.
I thought Batman vs Superman, the longer
edition.
That was pretty cool as well. I don't mind 300 actually. That's like kind of stupid but cool. But I haven't seen the rest of his stuff. So yeah, 2 out of 5 for me.
Yeah. Cam, what have you been watching this week?
Whole lot of nothing week. So I will say Emma and I, as of Friday, have like nonstop watch a game show. I'm not going to dox myself because I don't know what like NDAs work, and I really want this to like manifest to happening. But Emma has an interview for a game show on Wednesday. Again,
Is it a big game show? Say what?
It's not huge. It's not like the biggest thing ever, but we love game shows like so much.
Yeah,
and she applied for something in 2017, and like has an interview on like I don't know how they found
from the same application from
6 years later.
That's
so
crazy.
like it's a partners game show, so it'd be me and her hopefully. But she would have, when she submitted the application, would have had to put someone. Her and I didn't know each other at the time. It was like her senior year of high school. First off, she wasn't even old enough to apply for the thing at the time. So that's like crazy that they just find this application, right? You would think it would just like filter out age unless they can do like age now, that's just wild. So like we're really manifesting, like praying that, hoping she gets on this game.
If you can't answer this, or if you don't want to tell me, but is it like a trivia show?
No, well, kind of, but no, kind of. It's like I'll text you. I don't care if you know. I'm just not gonna put it on. I actually already told you what it's called.
Did you?
Yeah, I texted the group chat. If you didn't see it, it's fine. But yeah, we're like manifesting good vibes for that. So everyone put in goodwill for Emma's interview. But like we were talking.
Wait, so if it's a couple show, why is she the only one that has to interview and you don't have to interview?
Well, she put in the app. It's not a couples show. It's like a duo show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But would you go on it too?
If like I would hopefully be her partner if she got the role or if she got it. But again, she had to put like in the application. We were looking at it this week. She put someone else. She would have had to, because it asks like if you had a partner, who would it be? So she would have had to. She has no clue who she put.
Imagine if it's like a friend she's like not spoken to in years, and she has to.
It would have had to be like her best friend from high school, or like her mom, or like someone like that. And her best friend from high school, she doesn't speak to all the time, but speaks to enough to be like, "Hey, we're going on this game show." Yeah. They speak a good amount actually, but she just lives far away. So yeah, that's what I've been doing since Friday. We've watched like 40 hours of this game show prepping. But it's like a phone interview, which I feel like is a lot harder than like say like a Zoom or something, because you got to appear like spunky, upbeat, right? You got to be amped. Of course, game show. If you're looking into us right now, just come on, we can do this shit. We will bring the energy. We will fucking crush it. I'm sure of that. So yeah, that's just good fun stuff. We're hoping because game shows, that's the dream right there. Being on one would just be so fun. But what I did actually watch, I got around to Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Really loved it. I think it abruptly ends like it. She has the revelation. I don't know if we like reviewed it, Tyler. I can't remember exactly if you did a full review of it. I'm sure you did, but she has like the revelation that she doesn't really believe in God, right? Has that fight with her whole family, and then like kind of connects with her mom a little bit, and then it feels like all of a sudden it's the end of the year and everything. Like every coming of age movie, right, has that moment where they're like, oh, life's okay, we're breathing a little bit and we're all right. And it feels like it just kind of hits that moment pretty abruptly. I was really loving it up until the ending. I gave it like an 80 out of 100, 82 maybe, like on the dot there. So that's 4 out of 5. I enjoyed it a whole lot. I just think struggled at the end a little bit, which is fine.
I loved Rachel McAdams in it, and I'm such a huge Rachel McAdams stan that I thought it was like a super biased thing, but she's starting to get like a ton of like these like minor award shows, getting a lot of best supporting actress stuff. So maybe she actually will get nominated. We'll see. Yeah,
she was fantastic in the and like the scene where she's explaining why they like don't talk to their parents.
Yeah, that's like her Oscar clip scene.
That's a great scene. Just the show in general is awesome, or movie in general is awesome. Did I mention I watched Love Actually last week?
No,
I still haven't seen that.
It was my first watch. I think Emma watched it. I don't like it. I didn't like it a whole lot.
I know a lot of people who don't like it.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. I watched it for the first time ever last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, to be honest with you. I gave it a 3-star. I think it's fine, like not bad, but I didn't love it as much. I feel like I've seen pretty high scores on it. And then, of course, Leave the World Behind is the only other watch of the week. Did I tell you guys Emma's been watching Young Sheldon?
Oh God.
Yeah, it's like she's just watching something new. So I've been watching some of that with her, like when I come home and stuff. Young Sheldon.
What's it like?
It's just I don't know. There's a funny joke. There's a funny joke here and there. I'm a notable Big Bang Theory defender. This is nowhere near like as good as Big Bang Theory. I think
so. It's literally the worst show ever made. Then
that's probably true. I'm not a huge fan of it. It is what it is. It's a sitcom. You know what you're getting week in, week out. And it's something easy to binge. It's like 21 minutes or however long sitcoms are when they have commercials, super easy to watch. Just, that's all it is.
Shout out Jim Parsons for getting just obscenely rich from that show.
Yeah, he has like voice cameos. I think she's only like 2 seasons in, which there's like 7 seasons somehow. I don't know how. Jim Parsons does a voiceover, and I'm like, at what point do you think he stops doing this? I don't know if he makes it all 7 seasons, but if he does, like, wow, get that bag, man. But yeah, it's fine, I guess. It's not good by any means, but it's an easy watch.
Valid. Let's see. For me this week, watched Michael Mann's Ferrari. A lot I liked about it. Honestly, I liked it more than I thought I would, but I see the scores on average from people who have been able to see it at this point aren't the highest on it. But I enjoyed it. I think it's one of those, like, if you're more into racing, which I'm not, just for the record, but I feel like I'm slowly on the fence of maybe starting to get into F1 a little bit. I feel like you kind of appreciate it a little more if you're kind of into the racing scene, because I feel like it's a solid history on the sport of racing and Enzo Ferrari. But it was good. Adam Driver I thought was really good. The Full Monty, Seth, watch that.
Nice.
Yeah, that was one of our patrons. So in our Patreon, you can be we do something called like a film raffle every week where people will recommend like you kind of just all put your name in a hat, then someone recommends you a movie and you recommend them a movie.
I was wondering why you watched that. I was like, did you just pick this out as the most random film to pick out ever?
Yeah, no, I didn't pick it out. It's picked out for me. They said, watch the Full Monty. Seth will be happy you watched it.
That's in Sheffield.
So. Yep, in Sheffield. So right away, kind of establishes in Sheffield, and so I got a little background lore on the place you're from.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I gave it a 3.5. It's
really interesting.
It's just a fun comedy, but like also decently layered commentary on like economics and classism. So it was like a lot more beyond just like a general comedy. But I enjoyed it a lot. It was a fun movie.
Nice.
A lot of actors that like I've recognized in other stuff like later in their career, but like way younger in this. So I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. I put in my Letterboxd review like the main guy. The blonde guy, like I'm like I picture this to be Jay from In-Betweeners, like 10 years later in his life, like just a steel worker down on his luck. He's like, we got to start stripping to make money. I'm like, this gives me Jay energy.
So fun.
Silent Night from John Woo, I absolutely hated.
Did you watch that?
Yeah, it's just not good. Like, sure, there's some cool action shots, but I just kind of despise like the plot of the movie. It's just very like I'm not the first person to say this. Like, there's a lot of people like it's like very just like right-wing borderline like revenge porn, because basically it's like his kid, this is like the trailer and like the first 2 seconds of the movie, like his kid gets shot by gang members doing a shootout, so then, like the whole movie is him like hunting down every gang member and murdering them. And I was like, I feel like it's just like a fantasy of someone like some dark individuals like fantasies be like, oh yeah, gang members, I'm gonna take matters in my own hands and kill every single one of them and torture them. Like that's the whole movie. I'm
right in saying there's like no dialogue or like
there's probably like 3 lines in the movie, none from him, but like, like he's in an area and like a doctor might say a line or something, but like there's like nothing basically, and like it's to a fault. Like it's definitely like he tries too hard to make it no dialogue.
It's disappointing. It's like it's weird. It's surprising. Well, I mean, John Woo is like a massive blank space in my filmography, like in my watch. I've not seen any. The only John Woo film I've seen is Mission Impossible 2, which is crazy. But he's done so many action classics. So it was surprising because I know this is his first like Hollywood film or American film since Mission Impossible 2. So it was surprising to see how, because I saw some people who like half a stars, 1 star. So it's really, really surprising. I'm not sure when it drops here.
Maybe it was maybe you just needed a little increased into his bag. Maybe he just needed a little buff on
Maybe.
the bank account and get back to his action classics. But yeah, I'm super blind on his filmography too, and I know he has so many incredible movies from the late 1900s in the action genre that I definitely need to check out. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, fun coming of age story. Nothing really much more than that. But the vibes, the 80s vibes are so strong in that movie. And like, obviously I'd never lived in the 80s, but like that movie made me want to so badly. I was like, the incredible, like especially like the opening 5-minute sequence is just like a montage of music and the attire they're wearing, and they're in a mall, and like it just made me yearn for a time that I never lived in, where like everyone would go to the local mall, and that's where like all the young adults were, like a diner and a drive-in. Like it just, when people actually touched grass in the real world together. Rewatch Elf, just not a fan. I'm sorry.
No.
Just fuck you.
I like
and just simply fuck you.
What did you give it? I think I gave it like a 3. I think it's all right.
I gave it a 3. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
It's top 1. You fool.
No.
Yeah, I just I don't know. It just gets worse and worse the more I rewatch it. It's still good. Like I still like it, like more of it than I don't like of it. So it's still above an average movie for me, but just didn't hit. Watched The Nightmare Before Christmas for the first time ever. Banger soundtrack. Every single song just hits. That's
crazy.
Jack Skellington, a legend. But I gave it 3.5. Like I didn't love it.
Damn, fuck you again. Man.
I mean, the movie is like 76 minutes long, but for some reason it felt like it was like 2 hours. I was like, okay, this is kind of long, honestly.
You're killing me.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was just a Grinch this week with the Christmas.
I think that might be in my top 5 Christmas movies, to be honest, or top 10 at least. It's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, the soundtrack's so catchy and every single song hits so hard that I'm sure like it'll be something I'd want to regularly rewatch. And it is a quick movie, but rewatch both the Now You See Me's. I don't really know why I wanted to, but they definitely weren't nearly as good on rewatch. I give the first one a 2.5 and the second one a 2. It's kind of funny because like you can make a movie about magic, and then like if you get to edit and do whatever you want, you can kind of just make the craziest tricks ever, and it doesn't even have to be realistic because you're like, I have visual effects, like so you can just make things so much more fun. Yeah. But I'm a sucker for magic though, like the scenes where they're doing like tricks and stuff, like even though obviously like it's fake with visual effects and stuff, I'm still like I like magic. I'm eating this up. I enjoy this. It's fun to see. But like the whole like crime syndicate plot that's going on at the same time, I just didn't care for. Another disappointing review for a lot of people. Zoolander just did not like Zoolander at all. Gave it a 1.5. It's honestly, it felt the same as Anchorman to me. So if you like Anchorman, I can see like Zoolander. I'm not a fan of Anchorman, so I don't like Zoolander.
I think it's like slightly better than Anchorman for me, like slightly funny. I think I have it like a 2, but rather a 3, like slightly better. You know, but I know what you mean. I get it.
I mean, yeah, Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson are so good in it and so fun in it, and it made me want to watch some more Ben Stiller movies because I was talking with I watched it with Riley and we were like, what's Ben Stiller been up to lately? Like obviously Owen Wilson's still and stuff, and most other people in this cast are still and stuff. You know, this movie came out like 22 years ago, but what's the last?
He did Severance, didn't he? Like, was he? He didn't direct it.
Didn't he like produce it though? Like,
yeah, I guess that's.
Has he been acting and stuff?
I'm actually gonna check. I feel like the last film I can remember him was fucking
Secret Life of Walter.
Meyerowitz Stories was when?
But that was still like 2016.
Oh, that was 2017. Yeah, Jesus.
Ben Stiller just packing it up and calling it a career and just going.
I have no idea. Wait. Who'd be Halloween in 2020?
Man.
Oh, he was in Bros. Apparently, I didn't even see Bros. To be fair.
I did see it. I don't remember him. So he must have like had like a minor cameo, or maybe he was like doing a stand-up set and they were at a club or something.
Yeah, maybe.
This is pretty good.
Yeah, Ben Stiller. It's kind of not been super busy lately. And then I watched Leave the World Behind and Eileen, which we'll kind of briefly talk about in our reviews this week. And then Beautiful Boy, which is our Patreon review this week.
I watched that too. Yeah.
So we'll talk about that on the Patreon real quick this week. But let's jump into our movie reviews this week of the stuff that came out this week. So Seth was the only one who was able to see The Boy and the Heron. He actually saw it a while ago was that at the London Film Festival? Is that what it was?
It was.
Yeah. And did you see the subtitled or dubbed version?
Subtitles.
Subtitled version. So
this was before that it had even been like announced the cast for.
Yeah, let me pull up the synopsis quick and then I'll turn it over to you because I'm excited to see it. I was not able to get out to the theater. So the synopsis of The Boy and the Heron is the latest from Hayao Miyazaki after a little hiatus, and at one point we were all talking about that this is going to be his last film ever. He's kind of walked that back, and it sounds like he's been making another one, or at least one more. But
Yeah.
The Boy and the Heron, while the Second World War rages, the teenage Mahito, haunted by his mother's tragic death, is relocated from Tokyo to the serene rural home of his new stepmother, Natsuko, a woman who bears a striking resemblance to the boy's mother. As he tries to adjust, this strange new world grows even stranger following the appearance of a persistent gray heron who perplexes and bedevils Mahito, dubbing him the long-awaited one. So Seth, let's hear it.
Yeah, so I think I've seen almost all of Miyazaki's films. I think I'm missing one. So I kind of went into this having a lot of experience in, in his work. I watched this back in, I think it was like the 20th of October. So it's been a bit of time, like 6 weeks or whatever. But it's still like, fresh there. I still remember a lot, everything. Yeah, it's really interesting. So it's, where do I start? It's not the most. I think The Boy and the Heron succeeds mostly in the introduction of his world and his intricate, strange, and weird world that we have seen many times in Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, and showcasing these creative characters and having a new standpoint. Like in Spirited Away, we had No Face, and in this we've got the Heron, which is just a really weird character, honestly, and it's actually surprising to one of probably his funniest film today. I think The Boy and the Heron is a self-reflective piece, like any. It's a film that tells important life stories and tales and lessons in the form of animation, just as any Ghibli does. They always provide some sort of existential crisis, but I think it works as like a comedy as well and a self-reflective piece. This feels as if Boy and the Heron feels as if it was made to be Hayao Miyazaki's final film, which it obviously was, and it feels that way. It feels like a send-off piece, especially with the ending and what it kind of pushes, and it really goes into so many different portals within not only his life story, but commentary on the war, commentary on Japanese culture, whatever. I don't think this is going to be for everyone, to be honest. I think this is one that's for Miyazaki fans like myself, and even I wasn't as high on it as most, which is crazy because I still thought this was great, but it's actually down the lower end of my Miyazaki ranking. Like, I think I've seen 10 Miyazaki films. I think it sits like eighth or seventh, but it's still like a 4-star. This is how much I think of him as a filmmaker, and everyone else is like, I don't have any film from him under 4, which is crazy. But he does, like I said, go into a lot of portals, and there's a lot of entries to the point where it can become convoluted and a bit much, I would say. Definitely one that doesn't much warrant another watch, but kind of requires one because of how much commentary is there. And it's, not his most conventional is the wrong word, but not his most understandable film, logical film. Accessible, that's the word. Yeah. Not his most accessible film. So I would never recommend this to someone who's just jumping into his filmography. I think it's important to get a gist of where he's been in his career. And I also think this is like the film, I'm trying to think of an example, but it showcases all his best work as a filmmaker, all that he's great at in terms of telling this kind of fairy tale life story that offers the funny moments, offers the weird moments, offers the crazy characters like the Heron and like some fucking strange characters that you'll see in the film, but also offers these important life lessons, this culture, the commentary on the war, the commentary on life and death, the commentary on the culture in Japan, especially around that era. The animation is fucking like remarkable as always is, and it looks truly stunning. But yeah, I just don't think it's his most accessible work. It's inventive, definitely not his best for me. Kind of lower down, but still great. It might improve on watch, but I can imagine this to be like not in terms of the film, whatever, but like the reception of like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Not that people will think it's bad, but it will like be. I can imagine some diehard Miyazaki's, diehard Tarantino's putting it at the very top, and then some, being like, okay, I liked it, but it's like very much down the bottom for me. That kind of reception, where I think true Miyazaki fans there's a lot to take from this. It's all his best elements, but I wouldn't recommend it to someone who hadn't seen many before because it is so unconventional in the route that it takes. But yeah, so 4 out of 5 for me. I think it's very, very, very good. It still sits in my top 10 of the year. I think it's like 7th at this stage. So it's still great, but not as good as some of his others. But that's not really saying much because it's Miyazaki. But yeah, great film. Really, really liked it.
Yeah, and George did give it a 3.5 out of 5. So obviously he's not here, but he was able to see it. I think it was one of those that he gave a 4 and then might have moved down to 3.5 because I feel like I
I
remember
think he
him
actually
saying it was a
started at a
4.
3.5 with this one. I
Oh,
remember
really?
like
Okay, yeah.
messaging
Because
him,
I remember him saying like he's kind of similar flavor to what you were saying, just maybe a little lower. Whereas like he really enjoyed it, but not hitting like the other Miyazaki films he's seen. I have heard a
Yeah.
lot of people say on Twitter that it's like you said, very not his most accessible film, very dense film, probably merits a rewatch. One thing you mentioned is you would not recommend this to be someone's first Miyazaki. What would you say should be someone's first like Ghibli Miyazaki?
Jesus.
Because I've only seen Spirited Away. That's the only one.
Spirited Away is.
I think Spirited Away is like there's a reason Spirited Away transferred over to the Western audience so well, similar to like Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke. I mean, they all do, but I think Spirited Away is for me his best ever work and his magnum opus. But I think also like a really really good starting point that isn't like too much and doesn't offer so much commentary, but it's just it's just there and it's chill and it's really lovely. Is Kiki's Delivery Service. I'd probably say is if you've seen Spirited Away, I'd probably say that's the perfect start next point. It's quite simple. But it has his best to offer. The animation is really beautiful. And it's like a classic story, and it offers you really soak in the Japanese culture as well. So yeah, Spirited Away or Kiki's Delivery Service, I would say be one of those two. I'd usually recommend as a first.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm just looking at because I never knew like Studio Ghibli versus Hayao Miyazaki. I know he's like the head of it, but I was wondering how many different people are a part of it. Seems like a pretty small group of directors.
I mean,
Hayao
Grave of
Miyazaki.
Fireflies also.
Yeah,
is one that I
Asao
would recommend.
Takahata is the director of that one.
Yeah. That's one I'd also recommend because I mean that's kind of different. Grave of Fireflies is like it's not Miyazaki. It's very different. Obviously, the animation style is the same, but that's kind of more on the water and effects and stuff like that. The Wind Rises as well is really good for Miyazaki. That was his last film before The Boy and the Heron, and that's very much a kind of post-war era, during war era. But yeah, I'd probably say those two. Grave of the Fireflies could also be great in terms of Ghibli as well. Like there's a reason those films, Grave of the Fireflies and Spirited Away, are so like massively, highly rated here, just because they Ghibli like transfers across so well. Whereas some other cultures or some other mediums might struggle to. Ghibli is, do you know what I mean? It's such a worldwide thing, even though it's really Japanese in its culture. It's such a fucking like everyone knows it, everyone loves them. So yeah, I'd probably say one of those three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I googled Studio Ghibli. So it looks like it's two guys, Hayao Miyazaki and Asao Takahata, as the directors of all about 30 films total that have been there. But there's two that were directed by Hayao Miyazaki's son, Goro Miyazaki. Yeah. And it's just tough because this table on Wikipedia has the Rotten Tomatoes scores, the far right column. And it's Ghibli. So they're all like 90s and above. And then the first one his son directs is a 38. It's like everything's a 90 and above. And then his son gets one chance at it and just ruins the
it's interesting
Ghibli name.
The one that he's directed, I actually haven't seen. I think he directed two, like From Up on Poppy Hill. Mm-hmm. It's got like a 3.7. 3.7.
Tales from Earthsea is the one that got the bad reviews. And then the second film is the one you just mentioned. And it looks like he learned from things. But yeah. Fun company.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, 2.9. Interesting.
But yeah, did well at the box office though, so he's still winning. But I mean, with the Ghibli name, it's gonna be not
it's
too.
It's gonna be hard to live up to your dad, isn't it? When he's
for sure.
He's probably the greatest animated filmmaker of all time. It's gonna be a big stepping stone, really.
Mm-hmm. But how old is Hayao Miyazaki? Because this was gonna be his final film.
I'm going to say
82. So
I thought he was older, honestly.
Hopefully, it doesn't take 10 more years for his next film.
Yeah, that'd be a risk.
Playing with Tess and Fate a little bit, but excited to get to see one more. It's fun because Ghibli is a world that so many people love the movies, and I've only seen one, so it's like it's like when back in the day when you found someone who said they'd never seen Breaking Bad, and it's like, oh, you have such a incredible world you haven't even tasted yet that you're going to fall in love with. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at with Ghibli, where it's just sitting there as a stash of gold that I just haven't even touched yet. That once I start going through, it'll be a lot of fun.
I'd try watching like at least 3 before The Boy and the Heron.
Okay,
like,
good to know.
I think a 3 would be like a good marker to
go
into.
I think Howl's Moving Castle is like usually that, and Spirited Away, the ones I hear about the most. So
why don't you just do Howl's Moving Castle and Kiki's Delivery Service?
And they're usually really quick movies too. So
Howl's Moving Castle isn't.
Okay,
that's like 2 hours, I think.
I'll be able to crank it out. I won't be able to get to the theaters like next weekend anyway, so I'll have the whole week to watch these movies. So I think I'll make that a priority. But quickly, I'll go over Eileen before Cam and I jump into Leave the World Behind. So Eileen came out at Sundance as one of the films. So Sundance usually has like 4 films that they don't allow you, or like 4 to 6 films that they don't allow you to watch online is for in-person only, which usually that means it's probably going to be a theatrical release. Usually it has bigger named casts, and usually it's going to be a better movie because they kind of know ahead of time, like, it's going to be good. We're not going to let people see it online. It's going to be more exclusive. Eileen, directed by William Oldroyd. The synopsis is: in 1960s Massachusetts, an unhappy prison secretary is beguiled by a new coworker who pulls her into complicity in a crime that surpasses her wildest imagination. Thomas and McKenzie, Anne Hathaway, Shea Wiggum makes an appearance. Just such a dude that just shows up in movies like just all the time as just a supporting role. So shout out to him. Maren Ireland as well. But yeah, this movie is quick. It's about 90 minutes. Watched it last night. I think I was a little tired after watching Leave the World Behind, which we're about to talk about, because that is a long movie. That's like 2.5 hours. But I wanted to get this watched to talk about it on the episode because it did get a theatrical release this week. For me, I liked it. I think I would like it more on rewatch, not only because I wasn't in the right mind space, but also I think this is a movie that merits a rewatch. I think there's a lot you could dive into here in just this 90-minute runtime. The movie flies by. Like, yeah, it is a short movie, but also like when the end credits hit, I was like, oh, it's over. Like, that kind of was surprising. Like, I didn't expect it to end when it did. So I think it could benefit from a rewatch. It's a romantic dramedy thriller. So I've seen people make the comparisons to like A Carol, which is Todd Haynes, who did May December, one of his previous films, with Rooney Mara and Cate Blanchett. And then it's kind of like that mixed with, the classic like Joker, Taxi Driver type of movie where, you just see someone throughout the period of the movie just slowly descend into madness, slowly realize the screws are a little loose. Anne Hathaway's solidness, but it's definitely the Thomas and McKenzie show. She did incredible. I really like her as an actress. I'm excited because she's clearly very early still in her career. And
have you seen Leave No Trace?
That's her and that
Ben
guy
Foster.
from Hell or High Water, right? The
Ben
brother.
Foster.
Yeah, Ben Foster.
Yeah. That's my favorite movie, like, and performance of hers.
Okay.
If you want to watch a movie with her in it, she's just. It's not like a super fast paced movie by any means, and you might not love it, but I think it's awesome. Just a small tangent.
Yeah, good to know. I think she's only 23 right now, and she's already had a pretty deep filmography, and only just beginning. But yeah, so it's kind of like, she works at a prison. Her mother's already dead at this point. Her father's like an abusive alcoholic, so she just really has not much going for her, with her basically no parents at this point. And she works at a prison all day, just around people who are just, people that are just not the greatest, she's just surrounded by just kind of dismay at every angle of her life. And she's kind of just going through life like this. And then she meets Anne Hathaway, kind of gets an infatuation for her. Definitely a romance there, an attraction, heavy attraction. And all this is happening while she's getting closer to Anne Hathaway, but you're also realizing Thomas and McKenzie is definitely not fully coping with everything that's happened to her in her life, and it's still happening with her. So you kind of realize some bolts might be loose, and then from there the plot kind of goes on. And yeah, just very stylistic. It's 1960s Massachusetts, and from everything from the cars to the costumes to the set design to the film. I don't know if it was shot directly on film or if they used an emulator, but it definitely looks like an older style movie, like The Holdovers was, like with that emulation making it look like it was definitely a movie plucked out of like the 60s. But yeah, I liked it. I think people are liking it a lot more than I did, but again, I think I do need a rewatch on it. So I gave it a 3 out of 5. I wouldn't really recommend anyone to go see it in terms of compared to some of the other releases like a Poor Things or anything like that. But I think this is a movie that a lot of people are going to be able to find some nuggets that they enjoy out of it. But looking at my mutuals, most of the reviews range from 3 to 4. So no one's really hating the movie, but no one's really, absolutely loving the movie. But yeah, nothing really deep there for my thoughts on Eileen. Just it's a movie. You watch it, and I was like, okay, that was solid. Didn't really have a lot more to beyond that. But we'll dive into Leave the World Behind, because that's a movie that everyone's starting to talk about. Directed by Sam Esmail, who directed Mr. Robot, which I never watched. Had you ever watched Mr. Robot?
No, I haven't.
My mom always has for years is always like, you need to watch Mr. Robot. And I think Riley also tells me I need to watch Mr. Robot too. So I know that show has a lot of fans, and I know a lot of people love Rami Malek in that, but haven't seen it.
He has a couple Emmys for that, doesn't he? Like best
I think so. I mean, I think it's a very well acclaimed TV series, but
yeah.
Leave the World Behind. It's getting a lot of buzz. It's the latest Netflix original film. It's a thriller, apocalyptic thriller. The quick synopsis is there's no going back to normal. A family's getaway to a luxurious rental home takes an ominous turn when a cyber attack knocks out their devices and two strangers appear at their door. So Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, Kevin Bacon. That's probably all the people.
Kevin Bacon kind of comes out of nowhere in this one.
Yeah, like that's probably all the name brand people I recognize. But
Yeah.
he's not in it for a whole ton, but they all got to up their bacon numbers at least.
Yeah.
So I'll kick it off to you first. Give me your kind of initial thoughts, spoiler free, on Leave the World Behind.
Yeah, I didn't like this movie. I gave it a 39 out of 100, 2 out of 5 stars. I was looking at my rankings. I have it like lower than Ant-Man, The Lost Quantumania. I have it lower than You People, Fast X, Indiana Jones. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm a little too harsh on it, but I didn't like this movie. I think not to hurt Sam Esmail all that much. Like, I hope he's not listening, because I think this is one of the most like just over the top, and Tyler, you tweeted it, jackassery directing performances we've ever gotten, and especially in a long time, man. And we were talking about it pre-pod. It's just like every shot, over the top, spinning around, like pan around the room, zoom into a person. Every new scene is like a start on something, pan over to the person, and it's just way too much. I don't want to steal all your thoughts from that moment, or from that, Tyler, because I know you feel pretty much the same. But it's just it makes it like one of those movies where maybe it's not as bad if it's just directed with less effort. It just comes off. Sorry, my kid's yelling. It just comes off with like way too much effort, and it's just like way too much, and then it makes the rest of the movie, I just don't care for it as much. It's like a terrorist like attack on the US, but also there's like natural like issues happening, like a flood, and deer are all showing up, and the kid is not to spoil things, kids getting bug bites that are like causing major issues. It just doesn't make sense. Like, if it's a terrorist attack, like none of those things would be happening, you know? So super weird. I just wasn't a fan. I didn't care for any of the characters. Great cast, don't get me wrong. The cast is fantastic. Just didn't give a shit about any of the characters. And also super reliant on Friends. So shout out Friends, huge Friends guy. So like 90% of the plot is about like this little girl trying to watch the series finale to Friends. Should have got me on set. I could have just told her the ending. I know that shit beat for beat.
Also, who would ever guess that a Netflix original would be the biggest champion of physical media?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Big physical media win, W at the end. Yeah. Just didn't care for this movie. It's listed as slow burn in like Netflix, and it's just too slow. I don't think it works. And like you said, it's real long. It's like 2.5 hours, 220. Just a long movie. Doesn't work for me. I could see people really liking it. Like it does have like intense moments and creepy moments, but I think it just is downplayed by the fact, for me at least, by all this over directing that's going on. Those are my non-spoiler thoughts. Tyler, you can give your thoughts, but yeah, 39 out of 100. Meh.
Yeah, completely just over-directed, overshot. The cinematographer on this hasn't worked on much, and I feel like he was using this as his highlight reel of like, let's show everything I can do. Because every single shot in this movie was cool, but when you put every single shot that's cool side by side, it was honestly nauseating. Like, every single shot is like, we're going to be upside down and then spin back around. And then the next shot immediately will be a drone that's going 360 around the people. Then like when he's driving in a car, like a simple scene like that, you could tell they had probably like 6 cameras rigged outside the car to just change all these camera angles of these car rigs. So many like mirror shots that are just, and so many just like 360 upside down. Like every single shot back to back all the time was like so intricate for no reason. I'm like, this is just getting to be way too much. And on top of that, the score and the sound effects was like so over the top too. And I feel like this movie made me feel so much dread and like a true thriller, like heart pounding. but like it wasn't earned through the narrative or like the story. It was because they just have a camera that's spinning upside down while they have the loudest score banging in your head. I'm like, yeah, this is making me stressed out and anxious, but not because the film's earning it. It's because it's like a jump scare in a horror movie. You're just throwing cheap stuff at me by doing a creepy music and like a bizarre camera angle. So yeah, of course I'm going to be like anxious about what's about to happen. And it's just hard to really put into perspective until you actually watch the movie, how literally you'll realize it. Like every single shot back to back to back to back. It's like, oh my God, like it just, I'm sure they could have cut the filming in half if they would have just had normal camera shots, but every single one, they just had to have like I was thinking about like how they're shooting all these. I'm like, this is just a woman walking up the stairs, and they just made it the most intricate drone shot that's going in and out of windows. It was like, there's just no need for this, man. And like I said, a lot of it was cool, and I like appreciated it from a technical aspect, but it's just too much. You just got to be a little more reserved and know when to pull your tricks out of the bag, and they just used it a little too much and left it all out there. I joked in the first line of my Letterboxd review, knock at the Airbnb, because it literally is like Knock at the Cabin movie, but they're in a luxurious Airbnb this time. The plot that kind of sets it into motion is this family, Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke and their kids live in New York City, and they kind of need a break from the city and the hustle and bustle. So they go out to Long Island, to George's neighbor's house and rent that Airbnb out and just kind of chill. They just want a vacation. And then immediately you kind of realize things are going awry. Power outage happens. Things aren't exactly what they seem. The owner of the Airbnb shows up and knocks at the Airbnb and is like, hey, I know you rented my house, but you need to let us stay here. And I'm like, and then from there, you just kind of get an uncomfortable anxiety that never really lets up until the end. But yeah, I'll kind of leave it there for non-spoilers. And it's, I don't know. My friend asked me last night, he's like, should I watch this? And I was like, I think people will like this. Like there's definitely people I've seen that really like it, not just, average movie watchers, but I've seen like even film Twitter, film like actual critics, like, really appreciate this movie. I've seen a lot of people also like it less than I did, like Cam. But I said, and then he's like, he's like, I have a backlog of other movies I've been wanting to watch. I'm like, all right, well, if you got a backlog, like this shouldn't be prioritized over other stuff. I don't think it's a good enough movie to do that. If it's a movie you're looking for something to throw on and you don't have like movies you've been putting off, then you sure throw it on. But, and I know people have messaged me about this movie too when they saw my review, and they said they really liked it and really appreciate it, and they think it might benefit from a second watch. Narratively, it might. I don't really want to watch it again just from the cinematography. It is based on a book though, and I can tell the book's probably a really good book, solid book. Like Knock at the Cabin as well was also based on a book. I think the pacing was just awful in this, which I've kind of gone back in my own head of like, is pacing even real, or is it just like you just don't prefer something? But this doesn't have a classic typical 3-act structure because like, literally.
No, it's got a 12-act structure. There's so many parts in this.
Yeah,
movie.
but
there's so many parts.
And they do the classic like title card, like part 1, part 2. I think actually there's like 5, I think is what the final number is, maybe 6, but that just kills so much momentum.
What comes after the flood? Part 5.
The noise, I think.
Was it? I thought that was before.
I don't
even remember, man. Stupid ass structure.
It just kills when you have 6 different acts in a movie. It just kills so much momentum because something crazy will happen like 45 minutes in. You're like, oh, we're buckled up now. And then it just screeches to a halt and you just get 20 minutes of dialogue.
Yeah, it's like the crazy thing happens for this part. And then there's a crazy thing for this part. And then
it just wasn't well constructed movie, but we'll get into spoilers because I do think people are going to want to hear a little deeper discussion on it. Yeah. Let's see, spoiler warning. Okay, so one of the interesting things, Cam, is, which I don't know if you knew, but Barack Obama was one of the executive producers on this. And
who was?
Barack Obama. He's in his Netflix bag. He produces some documentaries and movies now, but this is a movie about an apocalypse of World War proportions. And Barack Obama is it's a little just disturbing that he's producing the movie when it's like about like governments attacking. Like, so we're in the spoiler section. We'll kind of go into it. So what this movie is basically a plot for civil war. So like a hacker gets into the US grid, shuts down all the cell phone communications power. So you start seeing like planes falling out of the sky because they don't have the radars or whatever at this point. I don't know. So all the planes are crashing. You see ships showing up on shores of beaches, which that was a pretty cool scene. And then the Tesla autopilot, you see like hundreds of Teslas just being driven to just this massive pileup of a crash.
I don't know if you saw, but like the early screening for this was everyone in like a Tesla, and that's pretty cool. That's fun. It was like a drive up. It was like a drive up screening.
Oh,
Or I saw it
interesting.
online. There was a like early screening for a drive up or something, and everyone got to like get out of there. Like they parked wherever. And then when they showed up, they like all got in Teslas and watched the movie from the Teslas. And that's fun. That's
So
good.
a little joint marketing with Tesla
Yeah.
in the movie, which is
Yeah.
kind of interesting based on the
Which
movie.
is weird because
Yeah, the movie
this
kind of
is
just
kinda
shows
like
off how like
anti-Tesla.
yeah, this movie's kind of anti-Tesla. It's like, look, your
Yeah.
car can just be taken over by a hacker and driven 100 miles per hour and crashed as all these cars are just flying at these people.
Yeah,
But
super
yeah,
weird.
so hackers take over this grid. So they kind of have like a 3-plot plan. The first plot is to take over the power to make people have no communication. The second plot is to do like mass paranoia, mass like that's what like the noise is. They have like these sirens going off, loud stuff like that they said they used in like Cuba back in the day to like make, and people start losing their teeth because the noise and stuff was using like audio
Wait, is that why he
warfare.
lost the teeth?
Yeah, that's what Kevin Bacon says. He's like, oh, back when they tried this in Cuba using this audio warfare, some people lost their teeth. So that's.
Oh, I thought it was because he got bit by that bug.
I think that
earlier in
could
the
be it too. Like maybe he had Lyme's disease or something because that's what they thought it was. Like he got bit by it. Like it doesn't explain it because he's like thinks he has Lyme disease, and then Kevin Bacon's like, no, it's the audio warfare, man. That's why your teeth are falling out.
Interesting. Okay, maybe I missed that one then. That's
Then
all.
they have the propaganda wing where they have these helicopters flying over people, dropping all these pamphlets in Chinese and Japanese languages, just to kind of make people think like, oh, it's the Chinese or Japanese are attacking us right now. So it's just kind of propaganda plus this audio warfare and making people uneasy with all these sirens, plus no communication and technology. And the whole point is to try to get people to turn on each other, which you kind of see the scene with Mahershala Ali and Kevin Bacon, which I don't know. I like get what they're going for there. I think there's a lot they're trying to talk about with race and class in this and how people are going to turn against each other when the apocalypse type of stuff starts hitting. But I just don't think that scene really worked for me to kind of show like the racial tensions and how different people are going to start turning on each other. Because Kevin Bacon's just a dude with a house with resources, and these people are coming to like give us your resources. So like, if I'm in an apocalypse, I'm going to be a little abrasive too. Be like, I got all my family in here, and I stocked up for this. I was a doomsday prepper, so you guys can like screw off. Like I'm not going to just trust anyone. But I feel like they tried to make it like this big thing, and then Mahershala Ali's like, oh man, like this is the beginning of the end if people aren't trusting each other. And there's also like what I never understood is Mahershala Ali is like some banker for like some Department of Defense, like higher up. So he like knows all the inside scoop on all this stuff that's going on. I don't know. And then
they almost made it seem like it was like premeditated, like it was like people knew it was coming, you know, and maybe they did. I don't know, who cares?
Well, because they said they had like the plans, like he knew that this was a plan for like the most efficient way to make like a civilization collapse was like what they were doing or something. It's some like plan that they had that like terrified his guy who hired him. And you of course see that final scene which is like honestly just like a terrifying scene to see where it's like New York City completely flattened by like so many bombs, like just getting absolutely pummeled, like every single skyscraper in the city
bombs,
destroyed.
Man, like I'm not living in any city. Look out, George. Like why do people have this many bombs?
That's why I don't get, because like the movie's like about inducing a civil war, but like how are like the average humans just bombing New York City to a rubble?
Yeah.
So like was it a civil war? Was it an external war? I don't know. What spoiler thoughts do you have?
Nothing. You kind of covered it. It's dude, I thought it was he gets bit by a bug or something early on in the movie and then starts losing his teeth. That's kind of what I assume. But clearly I'm incorrect. But yeah, they like you said, the whole idea is like if you make an entire civilization collapse, they'll turn on themselves. And which is probably fair. You know, it's like we're if a lot of unknown things are happening and people are like the cell phone lines are turning off, power's going out, Tesla cars are driving themselves, running into each other, blocking freeways so you can't escape or can't get out. Probably would turn on people and protect only my family. I don't know these other people. I mean, like if it were like a good friend of mine, like they seem to be fairly fine friends, or like Kevin Bacon and Mahershala Ali know each other, that I would probably like. But if that, I would, bring them in and make sure they're okay. But if I didn't know these people, I'd probably say fuck off, right? And that's the whole point. The human civilization sucks, but it's nothing new. Like we know the human civilization sucks. It's just like, that's the human civilization. We know it sucks, but it's all we got. And I guess that's the message. Cause at one point, Ruth, is the character. She like says that, but yeah, it just does not work for me. The whole movie was just kind of jackassery, like I said. Hey, bro. And yeah, it's just over the top, unnecessary directing, which made the rest of the movie for me just not work, and I didn't care for the rest of it because of that. In all honesty, like in the first 10 minutes is when I noticed it, when the boat hits and they've got every zoom in shot on every face and then pan around shots on everything. Also, when that boat was a mile away. Oh man, when that boat was a mile away, I was like, yeah, this thing's gonna hit the beach. Like I saw that coming from a mile away, I guess. So shout out me for that. Oh my goodness, bud.
There were so many shocking scenes that were so obvious too. Like you're saying, you see it a mile away. Like when Mahershala Ali sees the watch on the beach, you knew like immediately, like, oh, there's gonna be an arm in it, and he's gonna lift it up, and it's gonna be like a dead person's arm. It's like just so obvious that was coming. But the thing is, like, again, we're just three white dudes on a pod, so we can't really talk like about race relations in a proper or way. But the way they kind of like, because there's a lot of that in this movie where it's trying to talk about like how race relations. I think the book probably does it a lot better. But it starts with when they're at this Airbnb that they're renting from Mahershala Ali and his wife and daughter, but you don't really see his wife. So they're at this Airbnb when shit starts going down. And then Mahershala Ali at like 2 a.m. shows up and is like, hey, like, we need to sleep here tonight. Like, I know you rented it out, but we got to stay here. You guys can stay here too, but we got to stay here with you. Like, I would be very abrasive too. Not like maybe like it was a little race feel from her, but I would be like the same thing she was doing, where I'd be like, I got to look at the Airbnb terms and conditions here. Like, my kids are here and you're just like a random dude showing up. Like, and he didn't have his ID to prove who he was. And he's just like, no, you got to let us stay here. Like, it is my house.
Not having your ID is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like,
and he's like, it's my house. You have to let me stay here, which like valid. But like, if you're an Airbnb host, like you rent it out, like, I feel like you got to have some renters rights.
Edition. Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's one of those. He's like, you got to let me in, and I have a key to this drawer, but it takes him like an hour to get the key. So clearly he doesn't know which key it is, you know? It's like one of those, like, you could have asked anything about the house. He's been there 20 years, they say. You could ask him anything. That dude's probably opened that drawer 600 times in his life. Like, more than that, probably. It's just, like, do you know how well you learn your house in 20 years? That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just, they tried making it more creepy than it was, in my opinion, and it didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and like they'd just be having a normal conversation with normal music, and then all of a sudden Mahershala Ali just like grabs her arm and starts getting really like intense. I'm like, this is just for no reason. You're trying to make this more intense than it needs to be. So that's all I have to say on the movie. It was it's one that's going to generate a lot of discussion. I think there's a lot of people out there that will like it, because it is like at the end of the day, like it's an apocalyptic movie that I can honestly say the whole time, like I was like, I need to see how this ends. I'm very intrigued and interested. But yeah, I don't know. It just didn't all work for me.
It has a pretty like abrupt like ending.
Mm-hmm.
It like has a kind of an open ending. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. Obviously the world's kind of in shambles and everything, but it doesn't really give you a conclusion. And I think that works if you really care about the movie. But for me, I didn't. So I don't think it works.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I guess the theme they're trying to go
last
for.
Episode of Friends.
Right. I guess the theme they're going for is like, the world is shit. It's all crumbling down, but just find something to make you happy, pretty much. Because the movie ends, like Cam was saying in the non-spoiler section, with like, this little girl the whole time is watching Friends, but she's only watching it on her iPad, streaming it. So once the cell service goes out, she can't watch Friends anymore. And she's like talking to her brother the whole time. She's like, man, I just need to know, like, did Ross and Rachel end up together? I need to know how the show ends. Like, that's the only thing in life that's been bringing me happiness. And then the movie ends with her finding a bunker in some rich person's house, going down to the bunker, opening a cabinet and seeing a wall of DVDs in front of her. And she's like, oh my God, the Holy Grail. They had every season of Friends. She pops in the Friends DVD, goes to the very final episode. She's like, let's figure out how this shit ends. And that's the movie ends. So, but yeah, very weird for Netflix to be like, the coup de grace climax of their movie is, thank God I have all these physical media because no one else can watch anything, but now I can. It's like, yeah, maybe it's interesting that Netflix.
I also think this is just funny, like, for when things are filmed, like they clearly own the rights to Friends, and now they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's what happened, but they like own the rights to Friends, and so I assume they were fine with like putting it in. But now they don't own the rights to Friends, so I wonder if that like
I wanted to pay royalties or anything.
Yeah, exactly. and this is based on a book, like you said, that came out in 2020. I feel like that's just too quick of a turnaround. Like to get, I don't know, it felt just too fast of a turnaround.
I mean, we just talked last week how there's already gonna be a George Soros movie. So I mean,
yeah, I guess that'll be again 3 years from now. But someone just read this book and we're like, yeah, make a movie, bang, movie. Yeah.
Another thing I also didn't understand is how they, like, I think there's probably layers that I'm missing that I need to digest more, because they said Mahershala Ali's like, oh, the closest neighbor's like 3 miles down the road, but then when you go through the woods, there was like this whole neighborhood right behind them. So I was like confused at what the whole layout was. Maybe he was saying like the closest neighbor he knows is like 3 miles down the road. But also you got to think this is Long Island, and not only New York, Long Island, but like you can see Manhattan from like the backyard. So it's not going to be that sparsely populated if they're that close. To New York. But I know we don't have resident Long Island expert on the pod this week. George could give us some background, but I think a lot of people like it. It's a fun apocalyptic movie for what it is, but it wasn't all there for me. Just long, man, just very long,
very long too.
But I'd be intrigued to read the book for sure. I think Knock at the Cabin was definitely the better apocalyptic movie this year, because they are very similar movies in their themes, and like honestly to a T. Because Knock at the Cabin was a whole thing about like people turning on each other too, and like I don't know, like it's very similar. I think that one kind of took the cake though. We'll jump into some trailer talk now. So first we're going to start with we don't talk video games, but I know GTA 6. I know, Seth, you're a big GTA guy. Are you excited for GTA 6 release? And just pop culture wise, like that trailer was like the biggest thing ever. So figured we'd touch on it.
I'm more of a Red Dead guy myself. I do prefer the Red Deads of the world. But it is crazy. Like when GTA 5 came out, I literally just turned 15 years old, and I'm going to be 27 when GTA 6 comes out. So that's kind of crazy. I'm definitely excited, obviously, because I'm a big gamer and it's GTA. I've played them all my life, whatever. It's just it's like 2 years away, man. There's no point getting like too excited yet, because it's literally it says on the trailer 2025. But I don't know if you've seen it, Cam. There's like a stat where every time there's been a trailer, it's always like 2 years after or a little bit more. So like Red Dead, the trailer was like the start of December 2016, I think it was the first trailer. Then it released like the 10th of December 2018. So it's always like a 2 years or a little bit more. So it's going to be like literally 2 years from now until we see it. So it's going to be a while anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a huge.
You haven't played GTA, Cam?
No, I've never played GTA. Well, I've probably played it like at a friend's house. Turn it on and play it, run to a strip club or something. You're like 13 years old, like run into a strip club, that sort of thing. Very cool, bud. But I like horrible new segment, bad take of the week. Apparently, I said putting out a trailer like 2 years early is insane.
It's
and
the
I
norm
still stand by it. I know it's the norm in video.
I kind of agree.
Still stand by it, because like how do you care about this right now? Like
with GTA, have you seen the numbers that it's got? Like it beats.
It's got absurd numbers. But imagine if it were coming out in like 6 months, it would still have that.
Well, they do like Cyberpunk.
Yep, Cyberpunk 2077.
So their first trailer was 7 years before the release date. 7 years.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid.
And I hate what game like.
So and then it released to shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the thing I really hate about the video game industry nowadays too. Is I feel like it's gotten a lot bigger of a trend in the past like 7 to 10 years, where it's like you release a game and it's shit, but you're like, we promise by the time we get some patches in and updates, like a couple months will be good. Because I got Cyberpunk release date. That was back when I still gamed, and I just hated it. And I was like,
apparently now
it's great, but like, sorry, it's ship sailed. Like I played it the first month and hated it, so I'm not going to go back to it. I don't care, because you lose my trust then. If you're like, no, we promise it's good now, I'll be like, don't really. Buy it.
I do kind of want to go back to it. Like apparently now it is like crazy good. But it is, I know what you mean, especially like with games, because of the amount of time it takes for development and stuff, and how early they get the trailers out. You kind of expect a game to be, running well on release, but often they're not, which is, really shit, especially how much money they put in. But yeah, I mean, GTA 6, I'm excited, but it's like I'm not itching with excitement, because at the end of the day, it's fucking 2 years away. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. That's my issue. Like, how are you gonna just? I don't know. Like, how are you gonna whatever. How are you going to be hyped
When
for
did
2 years? I don't understand.
when
Well,
did the latest?
I'm hyped for it, but like, you know,
I mean, the trailer looked crazy, like the visuals and the graphics, like how they had like the fake like live streams and TikToks. I was like, gee, like is this real footage or like? There's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just.
Have you seen the budget?
Footage.
Have you seen the budget for this? No, it's actually not cinematic footage. Cam Rockstar are actually famous where the games usually look better than the trailers. It's kind of weird. They actually use the in-game stuff. Have you seen the budget for this game?
No, what is it?
It's like 1.5 billion, I think.
That's crazy.
Highest.
The like open world of it is supposed to be huge, which is awesome, but it's just I probably won't get this game.
Well, like GTA 5 had insane.
Oh no, sorry, it's 2 billion. 2 billion.
But I mean, it's gonna make it back.
Oh, it'll. I honestly believe it will challenge Minecraft for the highest sold video game ever. I truly believe that.
Because GTA 5 is the number 2, and it says it's made close to $8 billion since its release.
It's going to be. And it's been 12 years since GTA 5. That's crazy. 12. Mm-hmm. It's just people like a 10-year-old. I mean, I hope 10-year-olds didn't have GTA 5. That's kind of crazy. But like, do you know what I mean? You'll be 10, and then you go into your early 20s. Like, it's a whole like life era passing before the new game. That's why the hype is so crazy, and that's why it'll inevitably make just an obscene amount of money, obviously.
Yeah, and I don't remember exactly.
They posted the video, and everyone like our account reposted it, and then they deleted it. Which I don't know if they posted it because it got leaked, right? But they posted it on YouTube, posted on Twitter. Like, what's the point in posting?
So they did. The reason was to get more viewers to the YouTube. So they were just like, fuck it, we're gonna copyright everyone, even though it's not because it's public info. But I think they released the actual maybe Twitter on YouTube the day after. Actually, no, I don't think they did. I think they just kept the link.
Like the day after.
When it was actually initially when it was meant to release. It does I feel like it would have got even more hype view wise, obviously if it didn't get leaked because it was so out of the blue and everyone was like waiting for this moment. But like my Twitter was just crazy. Crazy. Some of the numbers were obscene. So it is going to be interesting to see how it sells. Obviously, but
by the time it comes out, they might have the next gen consoles announced.
I don't think they will. I actually spoke to someone the other day. They'll be announced. It'll be a year before it comes out. That's like the timeline if it sticks to the same one. So yeah, but they'll do it. And then they'll remaster it like 6 months later, which is fucking annoying.
Which will make them even more money. Because people won't be able to wait the 6 months, and for the next gen, they'll just get it.
Exactly. Yeah, they'll just get it straight away. Yeah.
But yeah, GTA 6 broke the internet. Literally, everyone always says like, "Oh, this will break the internet when it comes out." GTA 6 actually broke the internet. Like everyone's getting struck, copyrighted. The leakers probably in a Guantanamo Bay prison right now. Other trailers for movies, actually, Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire.
Missed this right after the Godzilla review from last week. It came out like an hour after.
I mean, they struck while the iron was hot, so props to them. But
is this the one with Godzilla and Kong like running?
Yeah.
It was. Did you not watch the trailer?
And one of them wearing like the Infinity Gauntlet looking thing.
No, because I've only seen like one of the newer MonsterVerse films. I'm not like I don't know. I've seen more of the other Godzilla. But it looks kind of funny. It did make me laugh how many people were complaining about like realism on Twitter. It's like it's a Godzilla and King Kong film. What do you want? Do you know what I mean? It looks like the trailer. I did watch it. It looks like just the shit people want. Like it just looks stupid and like two massive monsters fighting, whatever, and like a show reel of them. But that's kind of like the point. It's silly.
On my plane ride, I might rewatch the Monsterverse.
When does this come out? This new one? Is it like
it's like early next year, maybe.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know exactly.
I'll probably watch the other ones until then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like fun action. Doesn't look like anything too much deeper, but I don't know. It should be fun. I enjoyed like Kong Skull Island. I think that's like all those movies are fun for what they are. I don't think I know Cam. I think you're pretty high on them, but we kind of talked about that last week.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Monsterverse. Other than I think the first Godzilla and Kong Skull Island, I have kind of low, but I like the last two. Mm-hmm. This one looks dumb, and like I think the last one was dumb, but like I don't know, it had good monster fighting.
So much Godzilla content.
Yeah, if that's
crazy,
if that's what like this movie's going to give us is good kaiju fighting, I'm in for it. Mm-hmm. But it could very well be just really stupid. it's something it's slop I'll probably eat up. It comes out April 12th, 2024 for the exact date. Yeah, and then it's just big ass like Ape is the new villain. The big issue with like this is they go to Hollow Earth, right? So they're in Hollow Earth, which is like under the earth is where they live. All these monsters live, whatever. It's just looks like something that it's just big CGI field again. Like it's it's the big complaint of like Avengers Endgame, right? Big CGI gray field. That's exactly what Hollow Earth is. Godzilla's much more fun when he's fighting like in Japan or in Tokyo or where in New York even. Like just big cities is more exciting than big giant field. Which I think this takes away completely. So it'll be interesting to see that reception. And then Kong gets an Infinity Gauntlet in this, which is just it just doesn't make sense, man. But who the fuck knows? He probably like loses his arm to someone or something. I don't know.
We also got a trailer to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which is Donald Glover's series he's producing, which he's also starring in with Maya Erskine. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith was a 1996 TV series, and then they had the 2005 movie. But you're just never going to be able to recreate the Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie.
No, I also saw a tweet that was like, how are you supposed to recreate like two of the hottest people on earth who are also having an affair at the time with each other on this show?
Because that movie came out when Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston's marriage was ending. And obviously he married Angelina Jolie not that long after.
Or getting with Angelina Jolie. Yeah, exactly. Like that just...
You're never going to be able to replicate
that. The sexiness at that point, and this is just not going to be it, unfortunately. Good-looking people, Donald Glover and
Maya Erskine.
Yeah, sure, but not Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's just intangibles that you can't recreate. Stuff that happens outside the movie world, like Barbenheimer. People are going to try and recreate that, but you can't. Like when something gets in the zeitgeist of culture, the public perception is going to run with it, whether the movie studio wants it to or not. When you have a movie coming out where this movie like Mr. and Mrs. Smith coming out, it's like, Brad Pitt and his wife, Jennifer Aniston, who at the time and still is like one of the hottest women in Hollywood, they're getting divorced. And now he's with this new girl that he's in a movie with when it's a sexy crime thriller where they're married. It's like, you kind of just got to see that at that point, just because of how buzzy it is. And Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston, Angelina Jolie, they're still obviously massive names, but at the time they were like all at their peak of their fandom. I'd say Brad Pitt's probably the only one who's continued the massive like work rate, because Jennifer Aniston, like, I mean, she got Friends money. She doesn't need to be in as many movies as Brad Pitt. And Brad Pitt's also producing a shit ton of movies now too.
And Jennifer Aniston does all this shit like Netflix films as well, so she has so much
money. Right, yeah, sure. All the murder mysteries.
She's got the morning,
the morning show or something, the Apple TV show.
Yeah.
We'll see how this is. I'm probably not going to watch it, but good for you, Donald Glover.
I like Donald Glover a lot. I'm not watching this.
I will never watch this ever.
Nope. If it was a movie, I'd be much more likely to, but TV show, 0% chance. I'm sorry. Even if, to be honest, if people say it's the best thing ever, still not going to be watching it. Because I mean, Better Call Saul, everyone says the best thing ever. Not going to be watching it. Sorry to listening. The Boys season 4. Cam, I think you added this in there.
This came out last week, and I think we missed it. I don't remember talking it. Looks good. Looks great. Like the Boys is. Just quick thoughts on like, I'm not going to dive into it a whole lot because again we're about a week and a half late, but looks really good. But it comes back to the same issue of I don't know how much longer we can keep up. Homelander gets away at the end, or Homelander gets let off the hook or something, and Billy Butcher and him are passive. Oh, bud, you're okay. And yeah, it's one of those where like how long can we do this? Anthony Starr's fantastic, so you could do it for a while, but I don't know. At some point, the story becomes stale of Billy Butcher versus Homelander, and no one ever has the upper hand. And the season progresses, and you think one's going to win, and then at the end, they just even out or whatever happens. I don't think it's. I don't think it can go on forever. They also announced like The Boys Mexico, I think it was. So like another show. And again, my worry with that is you're not going to have an Anthony Starr Homelander. I hope you have someone, but that was my big issue. Okay. Sorry about that.
Your son's very excited that there won't be an Anthony Starr Homelander.
He's very excited. My big issue with Gen V. Sorry. My big issue with Gen V is just there's no Homelander and it's not as intense because you don't care about the characters as much. I think it's just going to come down to the same thing with The Boys Mexico and then The Boys season 4. Even though there is Homelander, how long can you do the same plot line for a while? So that's my worry, but I do think it looks good, for what it is. And I do love this show, so I'm sure it'll keep being pretty good.
That does it for trailers for this week. Pretty light week on trailers, but I think it might have been last week when we just had so many trailers. So makes sense it was a little lighter. So going into some movie news now. So SAG-AFTRA members have officially voted to ratify their new contract. 78% in favor of the deal, with 38% of the SAG members submitting a ballot. When I first heard this, 38% of members submitted a ballot. I was like, oh, that seems really low. But when I looked into it a little more, that's actually like the biggest turnout they've had in a long time for a vote. I think there's something with like, in order to vote, you have to have paid your most recent dues. So that makes it so a lot of people aren't able to like vote or something like that. I don't know, but definitely heavily in favor, with 78% in favor of the deal. So we talked about it, probably a month ago. The deal was, official, but now it's actually, ink's dried, I's dotted, T's crossed, it's signed. So for the next 3 years, should be good on this contract until it expires, because it's a 3-year deal. Warner Brothers and A24 have signed a deal to bring all past and future A24 films to Max exclusively after their theatrical debuts. I think it's a huge deal for A24 to get some more widespread recognition for their movies. Right now they have a deal with Showtime, which has a deal with Paramount Plus. So like not nearly, I don't know the streaming numbers, but I'd imagine way more people have Max than Paramount Plus. So be good to get more eyeballs on it, because I know we're all kind of disappointed with A24, how they have such limited releases, and hopefully this can bring some more revenue to them and get more hype built around them as a studio and make it so that maybe they can have more widespread theatrical releases. So who knows? But big deal overall. I know Max has been shitty lately, but to like their projects and stuff, but I'm happy to see them get more. Like Max's library is already so deep, and now adding A24's whole library to it is going to be awesome. But yeah. Cam, sad news for you. Netflix's Average Height, Average Build has been canceled. That's awful. Adam McKay movie starring Robert Pattinson and who was
Robert Pattinson and Robert Downey. Yeah. The Roberts.
The Bobs. Bob's movie from Adam McKay canceled. Cam, awful. Your thoughts?
Just bummer, man. I think Adam McKay is like freaking out about climate change, which I get. All understandable completely. That's like what Don't Look Up is about, basically. And now I guess he's doing another movie about it, which I'm sure will be great. Maybe he'll cast Robert Downey and Robert Pattinson in that. But just bummer that he's not doing this, because it was going to be like a satirical heist movie, I think, or a crime movie, something like that.
Was he the one who canceled this, or was it Netflix, or do we not know?
He said, I'm stepping away, and Netflix was like, well, we're not going to do it without you. So he stepped away to work on a new movie, which is revolving around climate change, which I'm excited for that, because I love Adam McKay, but I think this would have been awesome, at least for me. So it's unfortunate, but it's all right.
Yeah, would have been excited to see it, because Robert Pattinson, I feel like, obviously he's come so far from Twilight, and he got deep in his thriller bag, and then now he's Batman, and then now we see him voice acting the boy in the hair, and I feel like this would be like a new fun side of Robert Pattinson that we probably haven't really seen before in like a satirical borderline comedy. It'd be just kind of fun to keep seeing like what he does and see him keep pushing himself as an actor to different genres.
That was Christian Bale. Is Robert Pattinson in The Boy and Heron as well?
Yeah, he's the Heron.
Mm-hmm.
Bale was in Howl's Castle.
Oh, wow.
Also, by the way, on that note, apparently, from what I've heard, I've seen someone the other day about it, apparently the voice acting is really not good in the English dub, apart from
Robert Pattinson.
Well, Pattinson, who's apparently amazing. Apparently the rest of them aren't very good, which is surprising. But,
yeah, I think so. I even saw someone go as far as to say like they watched the dub version first, and they were like, I'm not even going to review it until I watch the subtitled. Like, I don't think I can actually give this a score until I see the subtitled version.
I kind of want to watch it for Pattinson, but it's kind of putting me off that.
Oh, Christian Bale's in it as well. Okay.
Oh yeah, he is in it.
There's just a billion people in The Boy and the Heron.
Yeah. Okay. I was so confused because I could have sworn Christian Bale was the Heron, but he's the father. Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. All right. Good to know.
James Wan says his next film will likely be a return to horror. He says he feels like the itch for horror is potentially calling, but we'll see.
Unless it's another Malignant type film.
But I mean, James, like, has anyone generated more franchise IP in the horror game than James Wan has? Like,
no, and his films are actually good as well. Well,
like Saw, Insidious, Conjuring. Does he have any
I
more
mean,
that became franchises than
that's
that?
3 of the biggest horror franchises
Right.
ever, right there.
Right.
And like in such close vicinity to each other as well. Like I think Saw was 2006, Insidious like 2009 or 2010, I want to say, and then I think Conjuring was like 2013. So in such close vicinity, he's created 2 of the biggest selling and biggest appealing horror franchises ever. So fair play to him.
Yeah, and of course, like outside of horror, he's done Fast 7. Was that the one that he was in, or Fast 5?
Did he do Aquaman?
He did Aquaman 1 and the one coming out. So even though his movies in the DC universe and the Fast and Furious universe are good, like the better of the universe, I can see why he probably has an issue to return to horror, because I feel like working in the Fast and Furious universe and the DC extended universe can kind of be like, man, I need to get back to making real movies. Because those
is he doing Aquaman 2 as well?
Yep.
Or is he not doing
Yep.
that one?
Comes out in 2 weeks now, I think.
I need to watch that. Okay,
yeah, I'm excited to see it. Just because I mean, honestly, the visuals in the first one were so cool. Should be good. I have high hopes for it, even though I think most people don't. But just gotta trust James Wan. Ty West's Maxine is described as over-the-top gore and an homage to Dario Argento and giallo genre. Seth, not a fan of that?
No, I don't like the idea. It's like a murder mystery slasher as well, and I don't know. I didn't really like Pearl. I did like Pearl. I thought it was okay, but I don't know. I don't know if this is a good idea to take it. Like I much preferred the route he took with X, and I don't know if a giallo kind of thing is going to appeal to many people. I just don't know if it's a word. I think this for me. I just don't know. I don't really like it. To be fair, I haven't seen that much giallo films. I've only seen like probably 4, 5. But I don't like the idea of like a murder mystery slasher as well. Just I don't really love murder mysteries. I've kind of worked this out recently. Like I really don't. There's only like a couple murder mysteries off the top of my head that I actually like really like. There's really not many at all.
Mm-hmm. I think murder mysteries are hard to make good because you have to be really clever in order to make it good.
That's why like Knives Out was so surprising, because like most of the modern ones I just don't care about, but yeah, I really liked like Knives Out. That shows how well it did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we get nonsense like Murder on the Orient Express, where it's like, who's the killer? And then the end comes like, we all killed him, and it's like, God damn it, that is so stupid.
We still haven't finished the whatever it's called, and now where you don't have a Hulu account, so I don't know if I'll ever finish that thing. That's gone.
Yeah,
this thing's trash.
I haven't seen Haunting in Venice. I did just post an ad for them.
Haunting in Venice.
Seen it yet.
Okay,
but it wasn't about like liking the movie. I was just saying it's available to download.
Oh, fair.
And I have heard, to be fair, I've heard from people say that it's the best of the trilogy. Like people I
posted an ad, and I had to mention that Rise of the Beast was on it, so that wasn't great.
Rise of the Beast is peak. Great.
No,
great, yeah, brilliant.
But yeah, so Ty West, I mean, kind of cool for him though, like as a horror director to get a trilogy where he's kind of did different genres. I think I can't remember what they classified Pearl as, but they said like X is a Texas slasher,
character study.
Yeah, and then so it's kind of like he's doing different flavors. Like that'd be fun as a filmmaker to be able to just have like franchise, because it's something that came out of nowhere. Like X was his movie, and then now it's like turned into a trilogy out of nowhere. So it's kind of fun that he gets to experiment with stuff. I liked Pearl a little more than X, but I didn't love either of them. I didn't really think they were the greatest thing in the world, but I didn't dislike them. So I'm excited to see, Maxine. Intriguing cast. So, and I think we're going to see it next year. We don't have a release date identified yet, but
so I'll see it like 2 years from now then.
Oh yeah, true. I forgot how long these movies specifically take. A lot of movies do, but these ones specifically.
Crazy.
Some funny, just classic Nick Cage news. Nick Cage says he has 3 or 4 movies left in him before he leaves for TV. And then the next tweet that came from discussing film was because his son showed him Breaking Bad for the first time and he loved it so much that he wanted to try TV. That's just such a thing I can picture Nick Cage just saying to a camera.
I love Nick Cage.
Like, have you ever seen that Breaking Bad show? Like that TV, I've been underrating it for decades, man.
3 or 4 movies is a lot of movies, but he's just going to.
He's does a lot. He's done so many films.
I know, that's the thing, man. Like 3 or 4 for
how old is Nick Cage?
Like a lot of movies.
Maybe like 60s, like early to mid 60s kind of age.
59. Good guess. Okay.
Yeah, like imagine if Quentin Tarantino was like, actually, I got like 3 or 4 left in me. It's not.
The directing's gonna be different than fucking just acting it, isn't it?
Yeah, but a lot of people like misinterpreted his tweet when he said like he has 3 or 4. He said 3 or 4 movies left in him before he tries out TV. So I think he's gonna have Nick Cage. I'm gonna say the over/under line is 42 more movies in his career. 42.
I love Nick Cage, man. He's a funny guy.
Me too, but it's just it's just so funny for him to be like, my son showed me Breaking Bad and it changed my life and I need to try TV. Nick Cage in a
great.
TV show. I'd like to see it. That sounds fun. I mean, more
Yeah,
Nick
true.
Cage, the better. You can flesh out and being able to flesh out a Nick Cage over a whole season. That would be fun to see. I still haven't seen Dream Scenario yet. I keep putting it off, but that's like the last one they came out with this year that I haven't seen. I've seen all those other tiny movies from this year. Last bit of movie news before we get into nerd news. Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling's Ocean's 11 prequel. We already knew about that, but now we kind of got some more details on it. It's set during the 1962 Monaco Grand Prix. Film follows the couple as they teach their children how to steal from the rich. Sounds fun to me. I'm in. The Oceans franchise has had a lot of hits, a lot of misses, but something about being set during the 1962 Monaco Grand Prix just sounds like an awesome setting that I'm going to really love. The 60s aesthetic. Just watch Ferrari. Give me more of that. Monaco Grand Prix, and you got two of the hottest people in Hollywood just teaching the children how to be thieves. I mean, sounds like there's no way it's going to be a failure. Might not be the greatest thing ever, but I don't think this is going to be a loser.
Yeah, Ocean's 11, I think, is the best heist movie of all time. Yeah, I think so. I absolutely love it. Is it Steven Soderbergh coming back for this? I don't know if that's been announced.
I think it is.
If it is, thumbs up for that. But Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling obviously have connection from Barbie, so I think it'll be really great.
Yeah, it's coming out in either 2025 or 2026, so we got a ways to go before we're getting this one. But fun to get some little news. We'll jump over to nerd news now. So Cam, do you believe that Kevin Feige is telling the truth when he says they will not resurrect Iron Man? Do you buy that?
I hope. Like, if you say it, you might as well tell the truth, right? So I hope, but I don't know. It'd be so dumb.
Yeah, it's I mean, like, that's what he said in the quote. He's like, we had so much magic there. Don't want to ruin it by bringing him back and resurrecting him. I'll bounce it right back to you. Do you believe this or not? Mahershala Ali says he's really encouraged with the direction that Blade is going. I think we'll be back at it relatively soon.
It's not
fake movie. It's not happening. The movie's not coming out. Mahershala Ali, I wish him the best, and I hope it happens. It's not coming out.
Did you see the Blade game though, Cam? That was revealed.
I didn't watch the trailer. But
I mean, the trailer was like nothing really.
Yeah, we're gonna get like 2 more Blade games before we get a Blade movie.
Yeah, probably.
We're gonna get James Gunn's entire.
I really hope it does. I'm rooting for this movie. It's not going to.
No, I'm the same. I don't think it will either.
We'll get James Gunn's entire DC universe completed, the full arc. We'll get Snyderverse completed at Netflix, all done before we even get.
Mahershala Ali will be like 60 when Blade comes out at this point. It's gonna be like stupid.
But it's becoming a fun meme of just like this movie's never coming out. Hilarious bit of news. PETA named James Gunn Person of the Year. Just so funny because James Gunn's such a hot button item on Twitter. People just hating him. And PETA is an organization that's so controversial. So for them in the middle of James Gunn being so scrutinized to be like, we're going to name you the Person of the Year. Just such a funny thing to
Guardians.
add.
They love Guardians because it's all like the animal rights.
I thought I'd been disgusted when I saw it. It was sort of random news.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
It's just funny because James Gunn just like, I mean, he can't. He's just in one of the positions that people find themselves in where he's not going to be able to do anything right. Everything he does is going to be scrutinized by people online. So to have this added to fuel of the fire is just hilarious. And then adding more fuel of the fire is that he cast Sean Gunn as Maxwell Lord in his DC universe. I don't get why do people.
Is that a big character or is it like I don't really know.
It was the villain.
It's in Wonder Woman 1984. It's the villain, but like
not a huge character. But I think people are just mad that like James Gunn cast his brother. But like if you didn't think that was going to happen, you're an idiot. That's your
people
at that point.
I saw some people say that like they didn't want him cast as like a big role. But I don't know is this a big role? Do you think? I don't really
probably
know.
Not. It'll probably be the same extent as like Kraglin, and Kraglin's good. Like,
yeah,
he pops in, does his thing, and gets out. Like no one has an issue with him, right?
Your son's got an issue with it. But,
that
was such a weird.
He's saying no.
It's just the discourse around like James Gunn and nepotism is so just tired online. It's just so overdone. And like I saw someone say
have been doing this shit for ages, man. Like,
right, and like someone was like trying to combat it and be like, well, like Zack Snyder produces stuff with his wife, and then someone's like, well, Zack Snyder's wife was a producer before they got married. And then I'm like, well, Sean Gunn was also an actor in like the 1990s before James Gunn was directing movies. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's both his wife and his brother were already actors. So like the fact that he's not just taking like people in his life who have never touched a movie set before and just be like, this is now you're like, I'm turning you into a star. Like they'd already done stuff, but it's just such a tired dialogue. I'm so sick of it, but it's never going to end until the movies come out. And I think so many people have already made up their mind on Superman Legacy that people are already going to hate it before it even releases.
People are asking if it's getting like too overstuffed, as if like these people aren't going to have like 1.5 minutes of screen time. Like they could be cameos at the very end. Like it's not going to be.
And like Jimmy Olsen, like he's so going to be so minor. And like, I don't know. There's some,
yeah, exactly. Also, I saw like a comparison of like Zack Snyder's cast to James Gunn's cast. I did not realize Jimmy Olsen was in any of the Zack Snyder movies. Apparently he was.
Apparently he was a CIA operative, which is different. Yeah. Like in the comic books, he's like just a photographer for a newspaper, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, he's just like pals with Superman. That's his character. Mm-hmm. He's just good buds with Superman, and he's there to be like a happy-go-lucky guy. That's all he needs to be. Mm-hmm. Like you don't. Skylar Gisondo. Yeah.
He's gonna kill it.
Might be like a Zionist. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you just can never know these days.
Yeah,
so you just can never know. But yeah, that does it for nerd news, and that does it for the episode in general. Our draft this week is going to be best movies that got 0 Oscar nominations. That's going to be coming on Thursday, and then our review this week is going to be Beautiful Boy. Timothy Chalamet, Steve Carell, going to be reviewing that. It'll be coming out on Friday. So look forward to those. Give a quick shout out to our executive producers for this episode. So big shout out to, and also before I even get into this, I'll say, been updating our Patreon page. So go check it out down below. Updated the tiers, made things a lot cleaner. Go check it out. If you're a Patreon already, go check it out and see if anything's changed for the tiers or anything switched around. It shouldn't be, but just definitely go check it out because there has been updates made to the Patreon page. And if you haven't joined, now would be a perfect time to go check it out. It's been updated a ton. So we do a lot of great stuff. Like I watched, we do movie watch alongs. I did one this weekend, and what I'm doing every weekend now is we watched A Beautiful Boy yesterday with, I think there was like 9 patrons in there. And I'm just going to do that every weekend. Like, college football season's winding down, so my Saturday's a little more open. I have to watch the real quick movies anyways for the review each week. So I'm just going to hop in there and we're just going to do watch alongs. So that was a lot of fun. I'm going to try to do those every weekend. The Discord being a lot more active in there. So the Discord is definitely one of the best additions of the Patreon. And then also you're going to get opportunity to ask us questions, suggest real quick reviews and drafts, which another initiative I'm starting going forward. So if you are a Patreon or you're expecting to be one or trying to be one, a new thing I'm doing is I'm going to create like a table in Excel of your names, and we're going to make sure everyone gets crossed off, like whether for a draft or movie recommendation every month or two. So we're cycling through. So your recommendations will for sure get picked at one point or another, just to make sure everyone's more included. But yeah, with that, we'll jump into our executive producers. Shout out to the people that keep the wheels going on this podcast: Alexander Biscardi, Cody Whitney, Connor Connaughton, Dakota Buckner, Dean Cutamanidis, Dylan Chip, Ferdinando Four, James Magos, Jimmy O'Connor, Jordan Gagg, Josh Hines, Casper Lundberg, Luke Deerhog, M. Bate, Remy Walker, Rocco 1.0, Robert Leo Gislason, Sean Morales, Stefan Johnson, and Will Kim. Shout out to all of you. Thank you all for watching episode 65 of the ReelTok Podcast. And we will see you on Thursday with our draft. Peace.
Go Boilers.